Nearly 30 years after World War II ended, a Japanese soldier was still hiding in the jungle. Armed, dangerous, and still fighting a war that no longer existed. While the world changed around him, while nations rebuilt, while men walked on the moon, he remained trapped in 1945. His name was Hiroo Onoda, and his story became one of the strangest surviving chapters of modern history. In December of 1944, as the Japanese Empire was collapsing under the weight of World War II, a young intelligence officer was sent to a remote island in the Philippines. His orders were simple, but absolute. Do not surrender. Do not take your own life. And no matter what happens, continue fighting. Those words would define the next 29 years of his life. Hiroo Onoda was only 22 years old when he arrived on Lubang Island, deep in the Philippines. By that point in the war, Japan was losing badly. American forces were advancing across the Pacific, cities were burning, and supplies were disappearing. But Onoda had been trained differently from ordinary soldiers. He was part of a specialized intelligence program focused on guerrilla warfare, sabotage, and survival behind enemy lines. Unlike many Japanese soldiers at the time, Onoda had been specifically instructed never to die voluntarily. His commanding officer gave him one final order before leaving. It may take 3 years, it may take 5, but whatever happens, we'll come back for you. Onoda believed him. Only months later, in August of 1945, Japan surrendered. World War II was over, but hidden deep inside the jungles of Lubang Island, Hiroo Onoda refused to believe it. Leaflets were dropped from airplanes announcing the surrender. Newspapers appeared. Letters from family members were scattered across the forest. But to Onoda, it all looked like enemy propaganda. He believed the Americans were trying to trick him into surrendering. And so, he stayed hidden. For years. Onoda did not survive alone at first. Several Japanese soldiers remained with him in the jungle. Together, they survived by stealing rice, hiding in caves, and raiding local farms. At night, they moved silently through the forests. During the day, they watched from the shadows. The group constantly feared discovery. Gunfire echoed through the jungle more than once. Villagers reported attacks. Police hunted them for years. One by one, the remaining soldiers either surrendered, disappeared, or died. But Onoda refused to stop. Even as decades passed, even as radios, television, and modern society transformed the world outside the jungle, Hiroo Onoda continued carrying out military patrols for an empire that no longer existed. By the late 1960s, the world had completely changed. The United States was fighting in Vietnam. Rock music filled radios. Humans had walked on the moon. And yet, somewhere in the Philippine jungle, a man still believed World War II was being fought. Search parties were sent repeatedly. His own family begged him to come home. Loudspeakers blasted messages through the jungle. Nothing worked. Onoda trusted only one thing: the original order he had received in 1944. Then, in 1974, nearly 3 decades after the war had ended, everything changed. A young Japanese traveler named Norio Suzuki entered the jungle searching for 3 things: Lieutenant Onoda, a panda, and the abominable snowman. Amazingly, he found Onoda. The old soldier was now 52 years old, still armed, still wearing parts of his military uniform, still convinced the war continued. But even then, Onoda refused to surrender. He said he would only lay down his weapons if his commanding officer personally ordered him to do so. And so, the Japanese government tracked down his former commander, now an elderly man working in a bookstore. He traveled to the Philippines, stood before Onoda, and officially relieved him of duty. Only then, after 29 years, Hiroo Onoda finally surrendered. When Hiroo Onoda returned to Japan, he entered a world he no longer recognized. The empire he served was gone. The war he fought had become history. And the young soldier who disappeared into the jungle in 1944 returned as a relic from another era. To some, he was a symbol of loyalty and discipline. To others, a tragic reminder of the cost of blind obedience. But regardless of perspective, his story remains one of the most unbelievable surviving chapters of World War II. History is filled with stories the world tried to forget, and some of them refused to end. This was another chapter from history's dark pages.